Going into the Samsung event, I was ready to write off this year's Z Fold 7 as yet another iterative update. Sure, the rumor said it would get a little thinner and whatever, but as someone who's been using the Fold 2, 3, and 5 as my regular phones for the last 5 years, I've gotten used to Samsung somehow always playing it too safe in the end anyway. But then, trying the new phone in person, I immediately realized I was wrong. I won't say I'm happy about all of the decisions they made, but this easily felt like the biggest jump for Samsung foldables since the Fold 2. Here's what I saw. As you can see right away, Samsung has completely overhauled the design of the Fold to catch up with the multiple year lead that the Chinese competition has had over them in hardware. I'm showing you my own daily driver, the Fold 5 from 2 years ago next to it as a comparison, and I gotta say this jump feels enormous in person. I of course also compared it to last year's Fold 6, and that jump still feels huge as well. When the phone is unfolded, it now comes in at just 4.2mm, which is barely thicker than the USB-C port. Technically, a few Chinese phones go even a tiny bit thinner, but this is basically the limit of what you can do without resorting to weird tricks. This allows the phone to fold up to a total thickness of just 8.9mm, which is almost identical to the non-folding Galaxy S25 Ultra, for example. You can see just how much thinner the hinge is versus that of my Fold 5, and while I thought that thinness was kind of a gimmick in the S25 Edge, I think in this foldable form factor, it makes all the sense in the world. Also of note is that the phone now only weighs 215 grams, which is actually 3 grams lighter than the Galaxy S25 Ultra, and a pretty bonkers 24 grams lighter than its predecessor, the Fold 6, despite having significantly larger screens. Add that to the much wider outer screen, which now has a completely standard 21:9 aspect ratio, and this feels like the first Samsung foldable that just feels like a completely regular phone in hand when folded up. Your keyboard and all the apps just look normal, and the reduced weight is immediately noticeable as well. Samsung even completely reworked their cases, which are also now made to be extremely thin, and so the phone feels super sleek even when it is in a case now. Weirdly enough, the official cases are now only made for the back side of the phone, so you don't get the strip around the front anymore, as Samsung said that many people weren't attaching those anyway, and instead you now get a screen protector included with any case. As a very clumsy person, I wouldn't be happy about exposing the front half of my phone like this, even if it meant having a very sleek design, but I guess okay. Anyway, viewing videos on the outer display is now much nicer as the black bars are significantly smaller, but on the inner display, you basically get the same size of video as you got on the Fold 5 or 6, just with even thicker bezels on the top and the bottom. Of course, the inner display itself is significantly larger now, and so using the phone and looking at content beside videos feels super nice and more like a large tablet than ever. Now, one clear omission is that the new Fold no longer supports an S Pen. This was done because the S Pen needs an extra digitizer layer under the display, which adds thickness, and when I asked Samsung, they said that they removed it because they routinely found that very few people actually used one on their Fold in the past. Now, I do like using mine, so this hurts me a little bit, but I guess I'm in a minority here. Another potential disappointment is that the battery is unchanged at 4,400 mAh and thereby still on the smaller side, plus it will now have to drive bigger displays as well. Together with charging still being limited to just 25 watts, it's clear that this phone won't be ideal for those who live far from sockets. I mean, I guess we should be happy that they didn't make the battery any smaller as they slimmed the phone down this dramatically, but it's still somewhat disappointing when the Chinese competitors have managed to pack 5 or even 6,000 mAh units into similarly slim devices already. But okay, let's go back to the good news. Samsung also finally brought the same 200 megapixel main sensor from the S25 Ultra over to the Fold and reconstructed that to be 18% slimmer here, so it doesn't stick out as much. We've already seen them do pretty much the exact same thing for the Edge earlier this year, and this should mean that you'll finally get a flagship adjacent experience on the Samsung foldable for once. There's still no crazy periscope zoom, unlike we've seen on some of the Chinese competitors, but on paper the cameras now sound pretty good. Also, the under-display camera on the inner screen is gone too, and now you just get a box standard punch hole camera instead. I guess that's slightly less cool than before, but should result in better image quality, which many people might actually prefer. Meanwhile, the specs are exactly what you would expect, with a Snapdragon 8 Elite for Galaxy Edition and 12 plus 256 gigs of memory for the base model. Sadly, the prices did go up this year by about $100 or €100, which now makes this an even more eye-wateringly expensive phone. Now, as usual, many markets will have some decent pre-order offers or trade-in deals, and I've linked to a few of those down below. Plus, these phones tend to fall in price very aggressively, so few people will actually buy the phone at its full price, but still, this is just an extremely expensive device now. I do have to say that at least this year we're actually getting some meaningful upgrades for that for once, so the price tag feels at least somewhat justified. Will I upgrade myself? I don't know, I guess it depends on what deals Samsung shows up with, but I gotta give Samsung credit for finally at least making significant improvements after many years of stagnation.